Excavating Wisdom's first challenge. We're calling it the 1 inch binder challenge. Let me set the stage for you before we get into the actual rules, because there's not very many rules actually. So here's what happened. Game night with some buddies, uh, wide group of friends, a bunch of different types of people. One hardcore Bible thumper, and one the devout atheist. And yes, he hates it when I call him that. But what I was trying to do is find some common ground for these two guys. They get along well enough, but we wanted to find some common ground so they'd stop harping at each other so much. And what happened was I made this up kind of in the moment, and we developed it a little further, and it was an interesting thought experiment. So we figured we'd share it with you guys. So the 1 inch binder challenge went like this. Imagine this scenario, and they were dudes, so extrapolate if you're not a dude. So here's the scene. You go to the doctor. You get terrible news, worst news ever. You got cancer, terminal, non-operable. You're done in 6 months, guaranteed. Nothing can save you. And that's bad news, obviously. And you got 6 months. Excuse me. You got 6 months to live. You go home. Go to your home to your wife, and she gives you the greatest news. She's pregnant. 2 months pregnant. You go, crap. Never gonna meet this kid. Your 6 months is gonna be up long before her 7 months are up. So you obviously you're sad because you've got cancer, but you're also excited because you're gonna be a dad. But what you don't want to do is just what you don't want to do is what you want to do is provide some guidance for this unborn child of yours that you're never going to meet. So what you do is you set um, you said you have an idea, and you say, I'm going to put together a compilation of what I've learned in my life, and I'm going to pass it on. But it starts to take on new forms, new ideas as you go. But the idea is you got to put some limits on it, because you don't want to just throw your entire life experience at a person and just hope that they find some use into it. You want to distill it down. You want to get something practical, something useful, something that they can make their lives better with, because that's the whole point of what we're doing is the wisdom thing, right? You want to make the lives of your kids and next generations and next generations better. That's how this thing works. You're never going to meet the kid. You're going to die. It's very sad. And what you do is you put some limits on it. You say, I'm going to go out and get a 1 inch binder, just 1 inch thick, and I'm going to put whatever I want in this 1 inch binder, but it's got to fit in a 1 inch binder. That's the 1 inch binder challenge. And what you're going to do is the real question at the bottom of it all is, what do you put in the binder? That's the question. That's the question we're trying to get to the bottom of. Is what do you put in the what if you were in this situation or a similar scenario? What do you put in this binder? And I've heard lots of ideas, and some of them are really good. Like you write a letter for every birthday, or so a couple cards until they're 5 or whatever. Then letters for every birthday until they're, I don't know, dead, or 50 or old enough that they can figure it out for themselves. So you can make some personal stuff. You can make a list of your favorite books or things that have influenced you. You could write down some music suggestions. Hell, you could put the CD in there, or a flash drive, I guess now, or whatever. Like you could put anything in it. Do you write some poetry, or find old stories that meant something to you, or quotes from inspirational figures that you found really motivated you through tough times? Or do you make it really personal, or do you kind of keep it generic, and you just leave it up to the quotes of people who are smarter than you and me, probably, to pass on the wisdom of the ages? Or do you do like a half and half thing? Do you do like some personal stuff, some motivational stuff, or do you do personal stuff and impersonal stuff, like life lesson stuff? Or do you just stick to the, when I was your age, I had to, whatever? Like, what do you do? What do you put in your binder? Now, to bring it back to the scenario I was drawing for the guys, what I was suggesting was if the person in this situation, 6 months to live, a baby in 7 months, you never meet the kid. Um, After that 6 months, miracle of miracles, they live. They get to live. They get to comedy. They get out of the story alive. But what they do is they go, oh, that's wonderful. They take their binder. That was fun. They throw it up on a shelf and they forget that it exists and they go off and be a dad for a while. And after about 5 years or so, they come back and they look at they're cleaning their shelves off and they go, oh, I forgot all about this. And they blow the dust off and open it up. And how do you react to that? It's something to think about. Do you just leave it alone? Or do you go through it and you go, that's some good advice. I'm glad I put that in there. Oh, I do like that story. I'm going to keep that in there. Oh, what the heck was I thinking? That's stupid. You pull it out and throw it away. And you go, you've learned some more in the last 5 years and it's terrible advice. Don't do that. So the character in the story takes it on themselves to say, I put a lot of time and effort into this, and it got me through a bad time in my life. I'm going to keep doing it. And every 5 or so years, they take the binder down and they revise it, and they pull out the stuff that they think is no longer relevant, and they put in some new stuff that they might have learned. 5 years is a long time to learn a whole. You can learn a whole bunch of stuff in 5 years. Life lesson stuff, technical stuff doesn't matter. But you just put in more or revise more. And every 5 years or so, you keep doing it until you're gone and you pass it on to your kids. And here's where it got a little interesting. This is where I was trying to find common ground between my Bible thumper friend and my devout atheist friend. I said, okay, well, imagine somebody did that and they passed it on to their kids. And they did that for 1,000 generations. And everybody took up the mantle and revised and revised and revised and revised all the way down. What does that look like? Because that's when you really start to distill wisdom down into a into a 1 inch binder. It might be a little jarring, a little confusing, a little messed up, maybe contradictory in parts. But what does it look like after 1,000 years? And to stretch the idea even further, I suggested, well, what if instead of one line all the way down, you took 1,000 people who started this project at the same time, and they passed it down for 1,000 generations, and now somewhere along the way, some guys are gonna be like, "This is stupid. It's old dead people's nonsense. It's irrelevant to today," and they throw the binder away. And some people don't. And some people will get it and they just don't have time to worry about it. And the whole generation goes by and they just pass it on. So there's going to be hit or miss moments. You're going to lose whole sections if there's a catastrophe, if there's a flood or a fire, and poof, the whole thing's gone. But try to imagine what if you did 1,000 people for 1,000 generations. What do you have left at the end? And if you took all of whatever was left and then took if you took everything that was left and you mushed all of them down into one 1 inch binder, what the heck does that look like? That still boggles my mind. Now, without getting into the mysticism or the metaphysical or the religious side of things, I think there might be a lot of overlap between that idea of distilled wisdom and passing on ideas and life lessons, and then smushing it down across areas or families or whatever, and then trying to smush it down from there. You're going to get stuck with some things that are common: tell the truth, love people, forgive as much as you can, whatever. You'd find some rules, you'd find some guidelines, you'd find a lot of stories. I'd imagine that's just a guess, but I'd imagine you find a lot of stories, maybe some how tos. For very important things, you might even get close to some advice of what we might call the right thing to do, whatever that is. And let's be honest, these days we could all use a little advice on the what should we be doing, because we're all nuts right now for some reason. I think it's because there's a wisdom shortage in the world, hence the reason for this project. But anyway, so what does that final product look like? is where I was trying to get to with my two friends. One's who's a Bible thumper, one's the devout atheist. And if you smushed them together, and again, stripping it of its religious framework, that might be where you get old holy books or something similar to it. I suppose, in a sense, I was trying to show where the structure of a book like that might come from, because it can be messy and contradictory things and whatnot. But yeah, okay. So if you take all of this thousands across, thousand down, smush it together at the end, you're gonna get some good advice. Um, you're gonna get some, might get some bad advice too, but that's that's why you would repeat the process over and over and over and over again as the world grew and developed and changed and whatnot. Um, yeah. So the 1 inch binder challenge. You're gonna die, never meet your kids. What do you and you want to pass on something without passing on everything? What do you get? A 1 inch binder. What do you put in it? I'm thinking about it for years and still puzzling it over. All right. Please tell me what you think. I'd love to hear what you guys would put in your 1 inch binder. Or actually try it. That would be even better. I'm going to pick one up and actually start putting my mouth where my money is on this one. I'm going to get a binder. I'll keep you posted. Thanks.